Good day, I'm David Jackson, Senior Vice President for Business Development at CaseLines. CaseLines is a cloud-based platform which is the most functional and comprehensive system for evidence management available today. It's used around the world, most recently in Canada and also in the UK, South Africa and the Middle East. Over 120 million people live in jurisdictions that CaseLines supports. In any jurisdiction, civil, criminal, juvenile, CaseLines lets lawyers prepare cases efficiently and in court gives you the tools for fully electronic hearings without the added costs of specialist operators. Let's consider the UK, which is the world's oldest legal system, a system that is 800 years old and until 5 years ago driven by paper. Now it has been transformed by the move to paperless courts. CaseLines supports the UK Ministry of Justice with 77,000 people. It has processed over 1/3 felony crimes and holds 150 million pages of evidence. Over 1,000 judges use the system every day. What do those judges think of CaseLines? The Lord Chief Justice of England and Wales, at a conference discussing digitisation of courts, said, "This system is a godsend." That's unprecedented praise for a software product from such a senior judge. With CaseLines, cases now progress quickly through the system. The courts have optimised their processes. Court staff and judges are empowered to do the job they want to do instead of carrying box loads of paper around all day. That translates to a court system that can better engage with its users, lawyers and ultimately citizens. Overall, justice has been made more just, fairer, quicker and more transparent. And in the UK, CaseLines has reduced the number of court hearings by 50%. Next, we're going to show a demonstration in the live environment. CaseLines is used in civil and criminal cases. Today, we're going to show how judges and lawyers will prepare a typical criminal case. You can see in the top right, I'm now logged on as a prosecutor, DA Marilyn Bailey. Over the next few minutes, I will check the evidence received from law enforcement, check redactions have been done, and prepare a disclosure file for defence. Over 4,000 prosecutors follow these steps daily. First, I'm going to look at my trial list. I'm going to scroll down and find the demonstration case we prepared, the People versus Carl. We're on page 1 of the case file. What I'm showing you is the criminal complaint for a routine case. At the top of the page are the navigation buttons that lawyers and judges need: Home, Find, View, Notes. CaseLines has spent 10 years working with judges and lawyers to understand and address their needs. Looking at the document itself, you can see the court is in Maryland. Let's scroll down. At the bottom there, Dave Carl is charged with theft. On the right, there are already some notes. We will get to those later. On the left, there is an index of the case file. Let's look at the index. You can see how many documents have been loaded into the file. These are all the witness statements. It is easy to navigate through all of the files. Everything is visible in a single pane. Without CaseLines, lawyers are presented with hundreds of pages of paper or PDFs, which they must manually sort through. With CaseLines, all the evidence is in one place, properly indexed, and everyone is always on the same page. The outcome is that prosecutors can save 80% of the time needed to prepare a case. Our first step is to check the redactions, so let's click on Redactions. I'm going to click on Search and Redact and then check that DC Bragg's name has been redacted. Perhaps he's an undercover officer. You see that we have some words already highlighted. The words in blue are already redacted. It looks as though some new documents have been added that have not yet been redacted. Let's apply the missing redactions. Imagine the time saved here. No manual work, no production of separate document sets. Now let's look at one of the police reports. That took about a second. In a paper world, I would have to find the paper binder, open it, and thumb through to find the page. It would have taken 30 seconds, perhaps more. If we look closely, we can see that the offence was in Westminster. As a prosecutor, I might be interested to see what else in the case file is connected with this jurisdiction, Westminster. So let's have a look. I can now search the whole case file instantly. First I click on Find, then I click on Search Case. Now I will type Westminster in the dialog box and click Search. Here are all the results. Let's have a look. Here there is a search warrant. I want to be sure that the warrant was properly executed, so let's have a look. This is where it gets interesting. Look at the centre of the screen. This is a typical warrant. What is interesting is that I searched on Westminster, and here highlighted in yellow is handwritten the word Westminster. Being able to search handwriting is very important because often meeting notes or witness statements are handwritten. Searching handwriting is also very difficult, but CaseLines uses a type of artificial intelligence called machine learning to do this. Moving on, let's now look at notes. Looking to the right of the page, you see there are some notes already on the file. Let's have a look. One of the notes is a marker the police have added to a video. The other note is a request from a colleague. It says, "Marilyn, we need to redact the address. There is a child living at the property." At this point, I'd like to make an observation. CaseLines manages notes independently of the documents. That's why we can see the note even though the related document is not visible. With a PDF, you would have to open the document before you could see the note. CaseLines can also export the notes independently to Office software, and it allows us to manage permissions at a very granular level. Now, the note is a request to me to make a redaction, so I will use the note as a means to navigate around. I'll just click on the page icon in the note itself. Let's scroll down. You see the address my colleague wants me to redact. This is quite a common request to have a document redacted before being admitted into evidence. Let's click on the redaction menu again. First, I need to choose the redaction category, so I'll click Category and select Personal Data. Then I'm going to select the redaction tool. Then finally, I'll draw a box over the area I want to redact. The orange box helps admin staff to quickly check their work. Don't worry, when we look at how defence use CaseLines, we'll see how the redaction gets applied. Very simple and very quick. This saves the lawyers from producing two separate binders. Also, assigning categories means that users can instantly remove groups of redactions if ordered to do so. That means more time and money saved. Now let's prepare the discovery file for the defence. I'm going to click on the Bundles tab to create a new file for the defence. Let's call the new file Defence Discovery. I can have as many of these as I like. For instance, in a multi-party case, I could create separate discovery for Defendant A and Defendant B. Or I could create a Freedom of Information file to make it easy to provide journalists with the unsealed record. For speed, I'm just going to add a few sections from the master file, the charges, the interrogation, and the police video and photos. If you would like to see how to build a Freedom of Information file, we have a separate video that shows how it is done. Now that the file is ready, let's make sure we apply the redactions. Finally, we will invite the defence lawyer. I need to click the People button and invite a participant. Then all I need to do is type in the email address, choose an expiry date for access to the file, and finally choose which file defence can access. And that's it. We have reviewed the evidence sent over from law enforcement, checked the redactions and added new ones. Then we were able to create the defence discovery file and provide instant access to the defence. Prosecutors tell us that what we did in the last few minutes saves up to 80% of their admin effort, and that they save several hours' effort for every single case. Time to switch hats and show you the defence perspective. You can see in the top right, I'm now logged on as the defence attorney, Elliot Greenwood. Over the next few minutes, I will review discoveries sent to me by the DA. Over 10,000 lawyers follow these steps daily. One told us recently that after using CaseLines, you'll never go back to old-fashioned paper. Let's choose the file and click to review evidence. At the top of the index, you can see that this file is the defence file. And look, we only have some of the original sections in the index. Looking at the notes, at the top is a note about the scheduling of the hearing. Notice also that the note between the DAs that we saw in the previous video isn't visible to me. Let's comment on the scheduling issue. I'm willing to agree the request. I'm going to type "defense has no objection" and save. Now let's look at the evidence, starting with the interrogation transcript. You can see that the address has been redacted. Now I want to look at the photos. We can see a photo of property recovered. I'm going to click on the View menu to see the metadata. CaseLines also shows the EXIF metadata if this is supplied from the original source, and can show any other metadata that has been associated with the evidence. Finally, we can see from the notes that the prosecution has put some video evidence into the file. I don't have much time to wade through the video, but the prosecutor has helpfully given a link to the right point. See, the button says "Go to Media 0041. That's 41 seconds in. With CaseLines, I now get to see evidence like this at an earlier stage. It lets me do a better job of advising my client. In this case, seeing how strong the video evidence is, I will advise my client to plead guilty. It means that the client may get a shorter sentence. And that's it. We've reviewed the evidence sent over from the DA. With CaseLines, I'm empowered to work more effectively for my clients. Time to switch hats and show you the judge's perspective. We will see how CaseLines saves time preparing for hearings and handling a list in court. You can see in the top right, I'm now logged on as the judge, Frederick Hollins. Over the next few minutes, I will review the case file. Of course, in some jurisdictions, I would not be reviewing prior to trial, but even then, CaseLines still helps me for pre-trial motions and similar matters. Over 1,000 judges follow these steps daily. Let's choose the file and click to review evidence. At the top of the index, you can see that I'm in the master file, so I can see everything. The first thing I see is a case note. We can see that the lawyers want the trial scheduled after Easter. The defense has no objection. I'll add a note. I'll just type, "Clerk, please schedule after Easter." Now this is a note I want all the lawyers to see, so I'm going to make it widely shared. My comment is now visible below the original request. Any of the lawyers can see what I have done. This is a great example of how CaseLines improves efficiency. That was a simple procedural matter that in the past would have required a trip to court for all the lawyers. With improvements like this, the English courts cut the number of hearings by 50%. Finally, I want to look at some of the documents. Often I want to review and make notes on more than one document at once. Let's see how that is done. I'll switch to dual panes. Let's take a look at the character reference for the defendant. And now let's add some notes. For simplicity, I just want to use my stylus. It is very easy to add notes and underline. And there we are. I've been able to agree the court dates, review the evidence, and get myself ready for the hearing. Let's spend a few minutes before we close to recap some of what we've seen, starting with video. This is an absolute breakthrough for the justice system. Police and prosecutors in every country are facing a fire hose of video evidence, from body-worn camera to dash cams to CCTV. Police have enough problems just storing that data, and until CaseLines, no one has solved the last-mile problem of getting the evidence in front of the court. As you just saw, CaseLines made it easy to share the video with the court and the defense, in that case leading to a hearing saved and an early guilty plea. We also showed some very sophisticated redaction tools. Automatic redaction by categories improves security and saves hours of work. Lastly, we showed how easy it is to create bundles for specific users. For example, different discovery for defendants A and B, or a freedom of information file. These tools deliver unmatched time savings for lawyers and busy court staff. What then is the impact of CaseLines? In countries such as Canada, where strict time limits sometimes lead to known criminals walking free, CaseLines lets courts manage the caseload within the time limits. In countries such as South Africa, where corruption is a problem, digitizing the case file takes away corruption opportunity and builds confidence in the rule of law. Everywhere the result is transformational. Lower costs, a faster, fairer and more transparent justice system. And as we saw in the UK, the number of court hearings reduced by 50%.